Hello and welcome. It's great to attend KubeCon 2020 Europe. My name is Keith Basil. I work for Rancher as the Vice President of Edge Solutions. Today, I want to discuss some insights related to the growth of Kubernetes. I want to kick us off with a prediction from 451 Research. Here, Jay Lyman predicts that Kubernetes standardization will happen within the next 3 years. There's an old adage that says, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. And so to date, the 451 research prediction seems to be holding up very well. With Rancher's own K3S project, we're seeing tens of thousands of downloads monthly, as an example. As a product manager, I wanted to share a few insights into challenges emerging in parallel with the proliferation of Kubernetes. And so we are seeing use cases where Kubernetes is running on wind turbines. We're seeing Kubernetes now being used to support the oil and gas industry. And factories are actually turning to Kubernetes to manage assembly line applications. And a lot of the use cases that you just saw are driven by digital transformation. So many legacy systems are being replaced by cloud native applications and Kubernetes. And any of the greenfield opportunities are more than likely going to go cloud native from the beginning. But in this deployment model, there's a nuanced set of challenges embedded in the growth of Kubernetes that's quickly coming to light. And in summary, this can be summed up with one customer quote that speaks to the nuance here. And the customer said, anything below Kubernetes is overhead for us. And after you pulled out an answer and teased that out a bit, what that meant was that organizations rarely have the internal resources to manage infrastructure below Kubernetes at scale. So on the surface, this means that we may collectively have to take on the burden of helping our customers out in this particular area. So if we're going to support the 451 prediction, we need to address cluster challenges in three areas. So heterogeneous architecture is one broad area, security is a second, and limited connectivity is the third. So let's take a look at each one of those. The beauty of open source in an open ecosystem has given us basically a great deal of choice in our deployment options. These choices in hardware are largely driven by a need for lower capex. I mean, you're looking at tens of thousands of machines at the far edge, secure device onboarding. And then some specialized use cases actually require GPU or FPGA hardware to support that particular use case. So we want to make sure that we have Kubernetes support for that specialized hardware. The second area is security. So the state of our security posture should always be known for systems under management. And we think here, zero trust based approaches may do very well because with those approaches, we can define data, we can define our communication flows, and we can define identities used throughout the system, right? And these elements should be enforced by policy that meets our security need. The last issue on security, or the last challenge, is one of visibility. So it would be awesome if we could figure out how to give a complete top-down view of the security posture of the things that we have under management. And then the last area here is connectivity. So we have very limited connectivity in some of these deployments. We've got what I call clusters in transit, or the data center in a van model, where vans are actually driving out to do work in the field and doing compute right there in the van. And so these approaches typically use a GitOps driven pull model, and that seems to be a very natural fit for managing mini clusters. For example, with satellite, there's high latency, and T1s are actually still a thing. We've got many retail locations that are still connected by T1s. And we need to consider, because of the reduced bandwidth in that case, that some of our CI/CD processes may need to be optimized to deliver smaller container images, right? So that's a concern. And so I wanted to end by revisiting the 451 prediction, because standardization is actually happening very, very fast. And to continue our momentum will require addressing architecture, security, and connectivity. And so we've got quite a few open source projects on the table to kind of get us there. And we hope to see you and work with you upstream with those projects. And lastly, I want to thank you very much for your time and attention, and have a wonderful KubeCon 2020.